In this video, I am going to discuss the Easy As expense screen. Expenses is accessible from the main menu simply by clicking the expenses. The date section here I've already discussed in depth in another video. Up the top here we have a help icon. Pretty basic, just click the help icon and each one of these particular icons around the screen, some of them don't, but most of them, if you click them, you will obtain more help and assistance about that particular icon. So whiz through that at some time because there is a lot of good information in there as well. Let's perform one quick entry. Let's say that today I purchased some materials for work and I paid cash for them. So I'd go to the date column and I'd enter my date. So in this example I'm just going to suggest that today is the 22nd of September. Now you'll notice that when I entered the date, I put a space in between. Obviously, because I'm in Australia, I'm entering the date first, then the month and the year. In most other areas of the world, you're entering the month, then the date, then the year. That's fine. Whatever it is in your country. I enter it with the space bar because it's so much easier to find that on the keyboard. But if you're used to entering dates using, for example, that particular little, I don't even know what you call that, on the keyboard, then it's fine. You enter whatever is easy for you. You press enter. The moment you press enter, we go to this column. Now this column here is a payment method. How did you pay for that item? I'm just going to suggest I paid by cash. This item here is the expense category. This is important because this is where you get to add your expense to a particular category. In Easy As, we have a pre-list of categories already built in. You can actually go in and remove all of those categories if you want and create your own. Or you can delete some of them and create your own. Whatever you want to do. Okay, we'll look at that in a minute. Now, I'm going to suggest it was materials, as I mentioned. There's my materials category here. And the moment I selected materials, this pop-up calculator came on. Now, why did that pop-up calculator come up? It came up because, see this tax calculator up top here? It says on. It's clicked on. If I click that, now it's clicked off. So if I select materials now, it is not going to come up. Do you see that? It come up because on was selected. And that's a memory thing. If you click it off, it's going to remember that the next time you come into the screen. If you're collecting sales tax on the goods and services, if you're required to do that in your country, then you would turn that on. If you've got no reason to have this pop-up calculator coming on to calculate sales tax, then switch it off. You don't need that. Now I'm going to suggest that I spent $200. This receipt is for $200. So all I need to do is enter $200 into the cost column. Previously when I set up, I entered my rate of sales tax. And that was entered in another area. And that was entered at startup. You can obviously go back into the business profiles area at any time and change your default sales tax rate. So that's the default sales tax. I enter my 200 and all I've got to do now is press enter or click OK. And that's it. It cost $200. It worked out that on 10% there is $18 tax involved in that. That's the cost of the item. And there's gives us our total. If you're in a country such as some areas of Canada employ two types of goods and services, or two types of taxes on goods or services. Easy As can accommodate that, but what you won't see is this column has a total. This will end up being one form of tax, and this will end up being another form of tax. In other areas of the world, that second column, which was the other form of tax, becomes your total column. Right, so that's pretty basic. It's entered in as per the receipt. You can enter in some additional information if you want, for ease of reference later. If you've got no need to enter any more information, then don't. The idea of accounting is to keep it simple, but allowing you enough information so you don't have to go back to the receipt later. You can just look at the screen, you know that it was a receipt for this, and off you go. What's this calculator button here? That brings up the pop-up calculator again. Simple. So if you've entered the wrong figure in, you can click this in and re-enter the figure in again. I'm going to talk about this a bit later on. project group. Now, this is very interesting. There is an in-depth video on project group. However, I'm just going to briefly talk about it now in the expenses. What a project group is this. You can define within easy as, let's give an example. Let's say that you're a builder. Now, you might be doing a project for Mr. Smith in Pine Street. So it's a good idea to create a project group. Then any materials or any expenses that you purchase relating to that job, you can assign against his project. Then at the end of the project, you can do a costing on that job. What did that job cost you? So there's one way of using the project group. Do you have to use it for that purpose? No. You might decide that that's another refinement method. Let's take some regions of US, or I think US as a whole. When you perform tasks in different counties, different states, different townships, you have to record the amount of sales tax or the amount of income tax or something to that effect earned in those areas. Project group can be used for that. You can create a category that says Texas, another category that says another township or region, whatever it is around there. This project group was first designed because of that. We've received many requests from clients from America that wanted a way to keep their taxes separate. So we designed a project group because it's useful then for the whole world for many different purposes. So there's a way for you to keep your sales tax in different regions separate so that when you want to grab a report later, it's nice and simple and easy to grab those reports to remit that money. You might be a lawn mowing person or a handyman, such as this person here, Smith's Handyman Services. What he does is, he also does barbecue settings. I haven't got any other categories to put in here, so we'll look at that in a second. What he can do is, he might decide, well, I'm going to keep all my jobs from lawn mowing separate, all my jobs that I work for real estate separate, all my jobs that I create barbecue settings separate. And that way, at the end of the year or once a month, I can see how much income I'm actually generating from those areas and what areas are making me the most profit. And that gives me an idea, well, maybe I should target this area more because I make more money out of this area. I'm not making so much out of this. So you get my drift? That's what project groups can be for. I'm going to look at that again in a minute. Right, let's just take a brief look at how to create a project group. Look down the bottom here, we have numerous icons. If I wanted to create another project group, here, I could click create and just enter my project group. I click, enter it down here. Let's just say that it was for a job in Smith Street, for all intents and purposes. Now, I can click finish, and it's now created that category. Click close, and that category is now accessible here. So I can assign that particular item to Smith Street. It's that simple. I've run out of time for this small video. We keep our videos to 10 minutes or less. I'm going to create the next video and talk about columns, adding additional columns.